There's actually a science to why some players are just always better than you in Fortnite. I'm serious, this isn't some made up excuse. It comes down to something called muscle memory, and most of what you've heard about it is actually true. Muscle memory is real, and it plays a massive role in how fast you improve at Fortnite or anything else in your life. It's what lets you do stuff like triple edits, insane piece control, or snappy aim without having to think at all. It's like your hands just know what to do. But here's the thing, there's also a lot of myths floating around about muscle memory. I spent over 24 hours diving into the actual science behind it, figuring out how to build it fast, how it affects your Fortnite practice, and how to avoid the common mistakes. And what I found is crazy. Real scientific research shows that when a skill becomes muscle memory, it can be performed up to 25% more efficiently than when it's not. That means stuff like editing, building, or flick shots can literally become automatic with the right kind of practice. Let's say you grind quad edits over and over again. What you're doing is building neural pathways in your brain that are specifically tied to that movement. And the more you repeat it, the stronger those connections get. That's how you start editing faster, more smoothly, and with way less effort. So not only does good muscle memory make you better, but you can actually train towards it to improve faster. I'll break down exactly how to do that later in the video. But first, let's really understand what this stuff actually is. Whenever you learn something, the info gets stored in the cerebellum, aka the part of your brain responsible for motor skills or motor control. So even if you take a long break from Fortnite, your brain keeps that stored skill ready to go. So that's why when you come back after a week or two off, you often feel like you're just as good or sometimes even better. It's because your brain has had time to process everything and your muscle memory kicks in like nothing ever changed. So yeah, the more you practice a specific skill, the stronger your muscle memory becomes. That's why repetition is so important. When you watch the top players like Vino, Queasy, Malibuca, Clicks, Acorn, Cold, Tayson, Seti, and Cammy, it's not just talent, it's reps. Years of repetition and practicing the right things the right way. And you can do the same. The more reps you get, the more your brain and muscles start to work together to make those high skill moves automatic, like weightlifting. Basically, if you want to improve at Fortnite, you need to do tons of reps for whatever you're weak at, whether that's editing, piece control, aim, or piece timing. Reps, reps, and more reps. But don't fall into the trap of only focusing on your weak spot. You still got to keep everything else sharp, or you'll just create new weaknesses. Remember, it's all about balance. Muscle memory only builds with consistent practice. That means not just grinding for 8 hours one day and disappearing for 3. It means showing up every day, even if it's just for 30 to 60 minutes. That's how real improvement happens. And the crazy thing is that 2 people can play the same amount of hours, but one improves way faster, just because they focus on consistency and quality reps. If you understand that, you're already ahead of most players and halfway there. But here's the warning. Muscle memory doesn't care if the habit is good or bad. This is where things can go wrong fast. If you build bad habits, like always over editing and creative, or constantly doing flashy stuff that doesn't work in real fights, your brain will still memorize it. Then you start doing it in actual games without even realizing it, and it ends up holding you back. A good example is the peanut butter edit. If you always do it wrong in creative, you'll naturally repeat that same bad version in real games. Or the top edit, same exact fundamental. And that's how people throw fights with terrible peaks or lazy reboxes. But the good news is you can fix this. You can literally retrain your muscle memory. Start replacing the bad version with a clean, correct version every time you practice. Eventually, the good version will override the bad one. Basically like a skill overhaul. There's no point doing the exact same routine for a whole year. The stuff that challenges you now is probably way harder than what challenged you a year ago. So you need to evolve your practice over time. Repeating the same thing over and over only makes you better at that specific thing, but it doesn't mean you're improving overall unless it's happening and helping you in a real game situation. That's what makes good muscle memory powerful. It speeds up what you already know. But if you're practicing the wrong things, you're just getting better at bad things. So repetition is the key, but smart repetition is actually what makes you a beast. And that applies to almost anything, not just Fortnite. If you want real growth, you need repetition, consistency, and the right practice methods. That's how you break through your skill ceiling in anything you do in your entire life. Now let's talk about one more thing that messes with people's improvement: aim training myths. One of the biggest ones is the idea that if you change your sensitivity, your aim will fall apart. But here's the truth. Your brain doesn't work like that. Sure, if you change your sense, you might feel weird for a few days, but long term, you'll adapt. People get too locked in thinking they can only aim on one sense, but that's just not true. And people change their sense all the time, especially pros. You're not memorizing exact movements. You're building a general sense of control. Your brain is learning how far your arm needs to move to flick from one side of your screen to the other, or how much to move to attract a player across your screen. And yeah, the bigger your sense change, the more awkward it might feel at first, but your brain can adapt. It just takes a little bit of time. There are pros who have switched sensitivities multiple times and still maintained or even improved their aim. That's because they understand that aim is built more on mouse control, reactivity, hand-eye coordination, and smooth tracking, not just memorizing a specific sense. So don't be afraid to experiment if you feel stuck. Personally, I'd try improving in other ways first before messing with sense. But the point stands, it won't ruin your aim. If anything, switching things up might actually help you break through a skill wall. You might feel off for a few sessions, but eventually your brain clicks into that new setting. That's what adaptability looks like, and it's something you can train just like anything else. So yeah, you can change your sense and still get better. And this ties back into everything we've talked about. Your improvement in Fortnite isn't just about talent or your time played, even though those are big parts of your gaming. It's about how smart and adaptable your practice is, whether it's building better muscle memory, fixing bad habits, or even adjusting your sensitivity. It all comes down to how you train your brain and hands to work together. So if something's not clicking right now, don't stress it. Probably means you just need a different approach or a bit more time to adapt to that thing. One more thing that doesn't get talked about enough is how mental fatigue can mess with your muscle memory. If you're grinding non-stop without breaks, your brain can start to go on autopilot. And that's when bad habits sneak in and form themselves. That's why rest and reflection are just as important as grinding. Sometimes stepping away for a bit actually helps you become sharper. You'll see top players take short breaks and come back even better, and that's not a coincidence. That's usually after they play all their tournaments like FNCS, the biggest tournaments of the year, and then they take like a 1 to 2 week break in between the new seasons so that they can have those insane good skills when they come back and break any bad habits. But at the end of the day, your muscle memory is like a blueprint for how you play. Every edit, every build, every shot, it all gets stored over time. Make sure you're building the right blueprint. Focus on your quality reps, be consistent, and don't be afraid to switch things up if you're stuck. Another massive thing is watching pros and seeing how far they get. Yeah, it's inspiring to see someone like Malibuka or Tayson do some insane play, but the real progress happens when you take what you see and grind it yourself, too. Use their gameplay as a guide, not a shortcut. What looks effortless on stream is backed by thousands of hours of their smart repetition. The key is turning what you see into something your hands can do without thinking. It's also why most pros don't get super nervous in endgames, and you're still nervous in endgames, because they have thousands of hours in those specific set endgames when you don't. They also know what to do in those endgames because of their muscle memory, and they know how to tarp perfectly everything because they've built up those good habits and got rid of those bad habits that you see most players have. Even top tier pros have bad habits, but they're overlooked because of how good their good habits are and how precise they've worked on their muscle memory. So if you ever feel like you're stuck or falling behind, just remember, it's not about being born cracked. It's about building those skills one rep at a time, whether you're casual trying to improve or someone grinding to go pro. The process is the same. Muscle memory is your secret weapon. Train it right and you'll be shocked at how far you can go. And if you've made it this far and you're serious about getting better at Fortnite, make sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button. It helps you out more than you think, and it lets me know that you want more content like this. Every sub keeps this channel growing and lets me keep dropping tips that actually help you level up your gameplay. Also, if you're looking for a place to improve faster and gain access to insane Fortnite knowledge, join the Discord server linked in the description. It's loaded with free resources, and every season will come out with new resources for you guys, pro level insights, and a whole community of grinders just like you who want to improve and get to that next level. So whether you're just starting out or already a ranked warrior, there's stuff in there for everyone. Maps, routines, advice from top tier players. You guys can even talk to me. It's all there. You don't need to figure out alone. Join up, learn from others, and share your own progress. Trust me, the Discord is where real improvement starts happening. And finally, if you want to support me directly, consider using NotFlow in the Fortnite item shop. It's a small thing that makes a huge difference and helps me putting out content like this. Like, subscribe, join the Discord, and use code NotFlow. I appreciate every bit of support. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace, guys.